Welcome to This Explainer. We're jumping right in today. And to kick things off, I want you to just picture yourself in this exact scenario. Imagine you're standing on a quiet suburban sidewalk. You are a totally hesitant homebuyer. You know the feeling, right? You've been saving up, diligently watching the market, and right now you're staring at two houses sitting side by side. On your left, there's this gleaming, brand new build. On your right is a classic, kind of tired-looking house built about 40 years ago. As you stand there, trying to make literally the biggest financial decision of your life, you realize something that completely defies all logic. The shiny, brand new house, it's actually the cheaper option. So, Section 1, Dilemma Pembeli Rumah Saat-Ini, the current homebuyer's dilemma. Let's map out exactly how we got into this mess. And really, that leads us to the absolute core question we're unpacking today. Why on earth are new homes cheaper right now? I mean, think about it. How does a country where home prices practically doubled in a single decade suddenly end up with brand new properties aggressively undercutting the prices of old, used ones? It feels like a total glitch in the matrix. But the answer actually reveals more about the current economy than almost any other metric out there. Okay, let's dive into this by putting these two options side by side. On one side, you have the new home. You've got fresh paint, modern architecture, brand new plumbing, warranties on all the appliances, and somehow a cheaper monthly price tag. No way, right? But then on the other side is the 40-year-old home next door. It's definitely going to need a new roof soon. The kitchen is super dated. It needs immediate repairs. And yet, the asking price is just stubbornly high. To make any sense of this central mystery, we really need to take a look backward. Moving on to Section 2, Aturan Lama yang telah rusak, the broken old rules. To truly grasp why that brand new house is cheaper, you kind of have to understand the historical macroeconomic forces that used to govern real estate. There was always a natural order to things. For as long as anyone can remember, builders had substantial upfront costs. Actually, scratch that. It wasn't just costs. They took on massive debt for land, lumber, and labor. Because of this, a new home always carried a premium markup. You basically paid extra for that new house smell. Existing homes, meanwhile, competed on affordability because the seller was usually just a regular family trying to move. The used house was absolutely always the budget option. That gap was so incredibly reliable that the entire mortgage industry was built right around it. Which brings us to Section 3, Kejutan Suku Bunga Tahun 2022, the 2022 interest rate shock. So that reliable system we just talked about, yeah, it didn't just fade away, it was completely shattered by a massive change in how much it costs to borrow money. Let's walk through this chronological chaos. Back in 2020, interest rates dropped to near zero. Borrowing was practically free, which sparked a massive housing spree. Between 2020 and 2021, the price of a typical home shot up by about 40%. Builders obviously saw this frenzy and ramped up production like crazy. But then, starting in 2022, the Federal Reserve stepped in to crush inflation, slamming on the brakes and raising interest rates faster than they had in decades. By late 2023, the average 30-year mortgage rate surged from around 3% to nearly 8%. That literally froze buyer demand dead in its tracks. To put into perspective what that timeline means for you, the hesitant home buyer standing on that sidewalk, let's look at the baseline of buyer affordability before those aggressive rate hikes. At a 3% interest rate, the monthly cost of a typical home might have been exactly $2,000. That was a really solid number that many working families could comfortably budget for. Honestly, it's the number that fueled the whole massive housing boom in the first place. And this brilliantly illustrates the gut punch that followed. When interest rates jumped to 7%, the sticker price of the house didn't necessarily change, but the cost to finance it absolutely skyrocketed. That exact same house, the one that used to cost $2,000 a month, suddenly jumped to well over $3,000 a month. Buyers didn't suddenly lose their jobs or their savings overnight. Their money simply bought a whole lot less house. This massive payment shock is exactly what caused demand to just completely freeze. Let's look at Section 4, Dua Penjual, Dua Sikap Berbeda. Two sellers, two totally opposite attitudes. With buyers completely paralyzed by these new rates, the market was left with two very different types of sellers who reacted in completely opposite ways. Let's look at a core analogy here. On one hand, you have your regular everyday homeowner. They treat their house like a beloved heirloom. They have all these emotional attachments to the kitchen where their kids grew up, the backyard treehouse, and they absolutely refuse to discount their price or accept a loss. But on the other hand, you have the home builder. A builder has zero emotional attachment. To them, an unsold finished house is literally a melting ice cube. It's a strictly business asset that is bleeding money every single day it sits there empty. And this highlights the specific financial realities each seller is facing. The homeowner is experiencing what economists call the lock-in effect. It's like golden handcuffs. They secured a rock-bottom 3% mortgage back in 2021. If they sell now, they have to go out and buy a new house at 7%. So they just simply refuse to sell. They pull their homes off the market rather than lower the price. Builders, however, face brutal taking clock business demands. They've got shareholders demanding results, land taxes are piling up, and massive construction loans are coming due. They cannot wait around. They are forced to shrink their products and aggressively cut their prices.
Section 5, Rahasia di balik diskon pembangun, the real secret behind builder discounts.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that cutting the sticker price isn't the only tool builders have. In fact, they use a highly specific, incredibly aggressive financial tactic called a mortgage rate buydown. Here's how it works. Instead of just dropping the asking price of the home, the builder takes a massive chunk of cash and hands it up front directly to your lender. This artificially pushes your interest rate down from the high 6% range into the 5s, which drastically lowers your monthly payment. So on paper, the new house looks fully priced, but your actual out-of-pocket monthly cost is suddenly vastly cheaper than buying that stubborn resale home down the block. It's a real game changer.
Finally, Section 6, siapa pemenang dan siapa pecundang? Who are the winners and losers here?
So, we are left with a housing market entirely split in two. When the dust finally settles, who actually benefits and who is quietly getting crushed? Let's break down the table. The clearest winners right now are patient buyers with steady incomes. In a market that has honestly punished buyers for years, they finally catch a break with subsidized rates and brand new warranties. The builders win too, mostly. I mean, sure, they take a hit on their profit margins, but they move inventory and survive. The losers, however, are devastatingly trapped. Just imagine being a homeowner who bought at the 2021 peak, and now you desperately need to move for a new job or a growing family. You simply cannot compete against a giant builder offering subsidized interest rates. But as that hesitant home buyer we talked about earlier, you really need to understand the hidden risks lurking beneath these shiny deals. Older homes are now sitting totally stale, sometimes unsold for well over 50 days. But even if you go for the brand new home, watch out for the catch. Many of these builder buydowns are only temporary. The low rate can literally expire after a couple of years, causing your monthly payment to spike suddenly. Plus, critics argue these buydowns are artificially propping up new home prices, basically delaying a much-needed correction across the entire real estate market. So the crucial point is, as you stand there on the sidewalk, looking back and forth between the overpriced 40-year-old house and the newly discounted build, what does this price difference truly represent? Is this whole situation just a temporary glitch in the housing matrix, an anomaly that'll just sort itself out? Or is it a stark, glaring warning about the underlying health of the broader real estate market? I'll leave you with this powerful thought. The builder isn't offering you a magical bargain out of the goodness of their heart. No way. They are being forced by the cold, hard math of business to tell you the absolute truth about what a home is actually worth in today's market. Meanwhile, the stubborn homeowner next door? They're still trying to live in the reality of 2021. The premium on new homes didn't vanish because the homes got worse. It vanished because builders can no longer afford to lie about the price. Keep that in mind the next time you go house hunting. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning what you see in the market. See you next time.